KBOOM 108, where we're right and they are wrong.
Yes.
On the Mike and David Show. I'm not quite sure why this is that they keep portraying older white men as loud, as boisterous, as repeating themselves, that they are loud. I don't understand why they keep taking people and putting them in these violent video games and making them sound as though they're just older buffoons, as though they don't have a life experience on this sort of thing, as if they don't understand the horrors of war. I served in our armed services. I know the horrors of war, and what's being shown in these violent video games is not the horrors of war. It's something else. It's some sort of stylized fantasy.
It's certainly horrors, but maybe not the horrors of war. War that you
horrors.
Saw. Yes.
Horrors, not whores. I don't mind whores. I don't mind the whores.
I see.
I believe that we are taking our youth and we're giving them this idealized viewpoint of war, that they can take a one of these discs and put them inside these games and start things up, and after the title sequence finishes, boom, they're in the middle of some war that there's no consequences whatsoever. This is the thing.
None.
No consequences. You kill somebody, hey, you move on and kill somebody else.
And it tries to portray salt of the earth, blue collar America, hardworking white professionals who are essentially the backbone of the society, as loud and blustery and boisterous, and that they repeat themselves, and that's not the case. That isn't true.
I don't believe that's the case.
It's a bad message to send to kids.
No, it is a bad message to send to kids.
Yeah.
The fact that they keep telling the same story over and over again, that they have these people repeating themselves over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I mean, all you read in the newspaper is about these games and these kids growing up to kill people in real life.
Yeah.
And they're getting younger and younger all the time. There was a 6-year-old toddler in North Stillwater that took a gun and blew away his grandparents. 6 months old, picking up a weapon as though it was, simply lying on the ground, and had some sort of number floating over it so that when you actually picked it up, it did something. It gave you some sort of credit.
Right.
I don't buy this.
And it just sends a message that, hey, minorities are cool and that's who you want to be.
How can they possibly think that?
And if you can grow up to be, a white shop owner, watch out, you're going to get a bullet in the spleen. It's just inevitable and it's going to happen.
Why would they not take God-fearing Christian white people and make them the heroes of these games?
They should.
Why is that?
They're the heroes
case?
of real life.
That's exactly right.
And these people are selling escapism, but it's the wrong kind of escapism. You want to escape into the Bible. You want to escape into your family's past. Sit down with a veteran and ask them about their life.
The world of Jesus.
Right.
This man had an interesting life. You want to talk about a violent video game?
Oh boy.
How about a violent video game about Jesus' life?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
This man suffered.
But you know what? These kids would not learn. They would all want to be Judas. Every one of these kids would say, hey, I'm going to be Judas. And
I think there ought to be a law. There ought to be a law that you cannot play the bad guy in a game, in any game. Why would we want to teach our children those values? Oh, hey, I don't want to be the cop. I want to be the robber.
Yeah, I'm going to walk right by this storefront and steal this apple, and there's nothing anybody can do to me.
What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that tell our youth of today? And these games are very popular.
When we were growing up, we would play, Cowboys and Indians.
Right.
Who wanted to be the Indian?
Nobody.
No one.
No one.
Because you know what happened to them.
Yes, you do know what happened to them.
And they deserved it, and
rightfully so.
Sure.
Sure. They were the bad guys.
Right.
The Indians were the bad guys. The Cowboys were the good guys. Am I right?
Yeah. White hat, white horse, silver bullet, possibly a mask sometimes.
Sometimes.
And, but he had an Indian friend, but he brought him around because, sometimes, if they knew their place.
Occasionally you can do that with the Redskins.
If they know their place.
You can. Now, this business of being able to play these violent video games as the bad person, as the minority that steals from the white shop owner, to be actually able to play from their perspective, I think sends the wrong message.
Yeah.
I think it sends the wrong message. In fact, I think that having actual weapons that make realistic noises. Remember when we were kids, we could play let's call it a violent video game. The violent video game of our day was holding up your fingers, your hand, your fist,
Oh,
sticking out your finger and your thumb, forming a fake gun,
right.
and going bang, bang.
Bang, bang, you're dead.
Right? And of course, you always had the goofy kid in your group play the Indian because you wanted to be the cowboy. You wanted to be the cop, not the robber. You want to be the cowboy, not the Indian. And again, I don't understand why they keep portraying these old white men in these games as buffoons that repeat themselves. I don't understand.
Yeah.
I do not get that at all.
I would say that it's reinforcing a stereotype, except it's not even a stereotype. It's like they're trying to make it a stereotype by putting it in every single game.
They're forcing it.
Yeah, they're making us be loud and boisterous and buffoons, and that we repeat ourselves. We don't repeat ourselves. Why would they say that?
I don't know why they'd say that. I don't. Do you?
No, I don't get it.
I don't get it either. And I think that it has to change. It has to change right now, right here. It has to start with the Stillwater City Council.
Yeah.
It has to start with people like our great Chief Monroe. Why wouldn't our children want to be like Chief Monroe instead of these what do they call these guys? These Los Carnales.
Yeah.
Jack Armstrong is always talking about it on the news. You know that Los Carnales this and Los Carnales that and who else? The Third Street Saints. That's an area of town you want to stay away from. That's an area of town.
I don't even drive through it anymore.
I understand that that's the only area of town that there actually is ammo lying on the ground. And I say ammo because I spent time in the service.
Well, sure, yeah. You did
I know what ammo's all about. I'm not one of these older white guys that consistently repeats themselves as they show us in the video games doing so. I think that's just insane. I don't know why they do that.
No, I don't get it either. We're not loud and boisterous. We don't repeat ourselves.
No, we're not loud.
No.
We're not boisterous. We're not loud. I don't understand it at all.
I'm fed up.
So this ammo is lying on the ground on 3rd Street. The ammo is lying on the ground all throughout the whole Saints Row area.
Now, you've been there?
There are a couple of I'm an older man. I have needs.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's a nice butcher shop over there. You're saying you get some steaks? You get to go?
No, there are. I have a couple of lady friends. That live near there. And it's easier for me to go through the Saints Row area than it is to drive around it, because frankly, I'm not going to let them have that power over me.
Wow.
You know, I'm been in Stillwater my whole life. I'm not about to let that all go just because some ruffian, some Hispanic, some Latino, some black man with a gun and a bandana and a big thick fur coat that demands $300. I'm not going to let that happen.
You know, they actually closed the freckle bitches in that part of town.
They did.
They did because
for a while,
because they were lying in wait in the drive-through, and they call it gaffling, I think is what they said.
Gaffling,
like gaffling, and they would swoop in when you got your food, and then they would put a gun in your face and take your food and your car. They would just swoop in, and you'd say you go in, you stop in, you try to get a fist. You stop in to get a nice fist, or a chicken bazoom,
right?
And you order it, and then you pull up to the window, and bang, there's Undercover Leroy and his friends, and then
this is the result of violent video games.
Sure,
this is exactly what happens, and in the end, you know who's made out to be the bad guy? The white guy, the older white guy, always made to show that he's repeating himself, that he's loud and he's boisterous. Not the minorities that are there stealing your bazoom from you from the freckle bitches
with their
drive-through.
Their gold fronts and then their taxi cab hats.
Yes. What is that?
It's like
I'm agreeing with you, but I don't know what that is.
It's not. It's sort of like a beret with a bill. You've never seen that sort of a hat. They call it a taxi hat.
Okay. Yes, I do.
Yeah, and
it sort of sticks up in front.
Sure.
Like the Bowery Boys guy used to wear.
Absolutely.
Okay, now I got
Mugs,
it.
I believe.
Mugs.
Yes. And then they wore their bucket hat. Which is like that gentleman from that television show that's still popular. Is it popular?
I don't know.
Good Times. What's his name? JJ.
Yes, JJ Walker.
Yeah. And they would wear that crazy bucket hat, and they also they pull a basketball over their head like that guy in the Fat Albert cartoon.
You know, for someone who you're very well versed on this.
This
is what I love about working on the air with you, is that you are in touch with the youth of today, with the pop culture, with the youth culture.
Listen, you have to stay 2 steps ahead.
Have you played any of these games? I have to ask you.
I have. And here's why. I played these games because I think that it's my job to know what's happening. So then even if Because I imagine that these people are acting out scenarios from these games on the street. So
Oh, there's no doubt
if
about
I'm
it.
confronted by some ruffians, and in my head I'll go, hey, I saw this taking place in one of those games, and I'll
So
know.
you're prepared for this.
Oh, certainly. I mean,
I'm sorry. You know what? I understand. I understand that you're frightened, that you live your life in some cases with a sense of fear, and that you're trying to prepare yourself. But I don't think that it's worth the price that you pay as an individual, as a human being, to
well,
allow these games to. Well, okay.
you are polluting your mind. There's no doubt, and I find I'm polluting my mind when I watch these games. But you go to confession. You go to confession that night, and you become absolved, and you talk about what you've seen.
You know, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
You can
and
just do that.
You unburden yourself.
You can just take care of it.
Absolutely, and it's just I don't carry it with me.
Okay.
When I watch it, I'm horrified, and I have my face is a
I've
grin.
got a great
visage
idea.
and-
I've got a great idea.
What
if they took these violent video games
Mhm.
and they added, like you go through and you do your dirty work, whatever, and they added the sort of internet version of absolution, like you could connect up with some priest somewhere in like North Stillwater over the internet, and you could you could do your penance and your confessions and your Hail Marys and whatnot, and you could just like be done with it.
I think that it's a brilliant idea. I do not think there are nearly enough children conversing with priests on the internet. I think
you
we
don't?
absolutely need to get them
I think
involved.
you're right. I think we need more of that.
If we can
We
get
need
our
more-
clergy
Yeah.
and our children together, I think that's the key to saving them and keeping them out of these violent video games. I think they need to, maybe go and get a job at the rectory and play some volleyball with the priests and go ahead and rake leaves. Do anything they can to keep their, idle hands are the devil's business. Is that what it is?
Workshop.
Devil's Workshop something.
Yeah.
And we certainly don't want our children with idle hands, and we don't want them in the devil's workshop.
No.
So put them in God's workshop
No.
and have them build birdhouses with Father Pete.
And I think that we should give our priests more to do with their hands as well,
Certainly.
especially when hands-on with our youth.
They should be absolutely hands-on with our kids, and they should go ahead and bring them, lead them, and they need to stroke them. They need to, comfort them, and they need to bring them closer and get as close as they possibly can.
More hugs,
Sure.
less lugs.
Yeah.
I
I'm with
believe
it.
that's the case,
I agree.
especially with our clergy and our kids.
Yeah, and these video games, another thing is they don't teach you anything about real life. Like I
No.
said, they constantly tell you that the white guy is the bad guy, and you'll hear that all over the place. But then also death has no real consequence in these
None.
games. I've played it, like I said, and if you wind up winging a chap while you're in the game and you wind up planting him or putting him on the ground, he's dead, and you continue with your business. You almost step over his lifeless corpse just to continue with more of your bad deeds. And I don't think that's right.
What do
for
you
these
think
kids.
should happen?
Well, I would add some sort of a real life element where they have to realize the consequences and they know what they've done. I mean, if you kill someone in a video game, you have to realize that he has a video wife and video kids that no longer have a video father, and you have to realize that they need video support.
There's a video home they live in. There's video food that has to be put on the table.
Right.
There's video jobs and video school.
Without a video father, how are these video kids going to stay off video drugs?
You bring up some very interesting points. I think what we need to do is we need to assemble the audience together. We need to talk to them en masse about all the things that we've discussed here today. And we need to do it in a public forum, not on the air. The air is great for sort of, getting things off our chest and so on. I think we need to take this down to Stillwater City Hall. We need to sit down with the fine Stillwater Police Department. We need to sit down with the council.
And I'm not saying go to a city council meeting and wait your turn at the podium to go ahead and bring this up. I demand a meeting. I demand that we bring listeners and ourselves, and we get access to the highest levels of office, and we bring our problems to them, and we get solutions. We don't get just people talking at us. We don't get people talking in circles. We get action.
And if not, do we arm the populace?
I think the populace is already armed with the condition of the streets we have.
You think?
If they're not, they ought to be. I can tell you that I have a concealed weapons permit. I'm always armed.
Are you armed at this very moment?
I'm armed on I have several weapons on me at this very instant.
Really?
I have actually two separate knives. I have a blackjack. I have a sap, and I have an ankle holster with a Derringer. And then I have another gun that I quite frankly, it's none of your business where it is. I know we've been partners a long time, but just in case something happens and you go a little bananas, you get a little screwy, just know
There's a weapon where you least expect it.
There is nothing between that gun and me but air and opportunity.
I see. Air and opportunity. Where have I heard that before?
And you know what?
What?
I'm all out of air.
Nice. Nice. I like this. A lot to chew on. Please stay tuned. You're listening to KBOOM 108. Mike and David, we're right. They're wrong. Back in a moment.